You're
You're
what up?
chilling. What's good?
Blubhaus episode 3 with your hosts. I am Temur.
And I am Marco.
You are watching Blubhouse live. Just kidding, we're not live, but it's live for us right now. We are recording this on March 3rd, 2022. It's like
Yo, shout out to number three.
facts. 33
Free three.
3322 today. So, last episode we started kind of touched on the meditation retreats that we did. Think it might be kind of fun to jump into that a little bit and provide some context or maybe just some stories for people who might be interested in doing something like that. But also, we just talk about that a lot when we're chilling. So, um, yeah,
All right,
let's jump into it.
let's. I think. I guess we should get some backstory. So, the thing that we both did is a 10-day silent meditation retreat, um, and there's a nonprofit organization that houses you and provides all the sessions, and it's 10 days and completely free, all donation based, and yeah, it's all over the world, and people from like Jack Dorsey to Tim Ferriss to a variety of people. There's a few different organizations, but this is the most like common one that people do, and it's been going on for how many years, Timur? Like
A long
50,
time.
60? Yeah, long ass
So
time.
the the what do you call the founder is this guy S.N. Goenka who learned the
A
tech
beast.
who learned the technique in Burma, and the story goes is that this technique of meditation, these retreats, sort of trace back all the way to the time of the Buddha, but a lot of meditation techniques sort of claim that. So, but yeah, he learned this in Burma when he was in his 30s. He was this businessman who was not, spiritual, quote unquote, at all, but he was like getting and having these very bad migraines, and he was like traveling all over the world to receive treatment, and they had him on a ton of morphine at a certain point just to deal with the pain. And he decided to try out this 10-day retreat, and he said like all the pain went away. He got off morphine, and he sort of found this technique to be so powerful that he brought it to America. 60s, 70s, 50s, don't really remember history well, but yeah, it started this nonprofit, like Marco said, free. They give you room and board. They feed you. It's all vegan. You eat like once or twice a day. But yeah, for 10 days, you're just practicing this technique that they teach you at the retreat, and just going deeper and deeper into your own psyche and physiology.
And there's no phones, no books, no notebooks. Like it's literally like you and your thoughts, and that's it. And you just like, yeah, tap into a new level of awareness. Like I remember like eating once, and after there's like tea, no, not even coffee, so just like tea,
Mm-hmm.
and like I remember sitting there and like watching the like steam swirl out of my like, cup of tea for like 15 minutes, and just being like, just having my mind like exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure if there was like if you could see inside the room for like 10 minutes, like people would just be like, what the hell are these people doing? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, mad interesting when you're in first person. Like,
Did you ever get bored?
I don't think so. I think I was like the whole time I was like super engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, yeah, just like really trying to improve my like practice, and then yeah, just experiencing like being present on like another level. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Did you feel like that was the case? I know some people definitely felt that. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got bored. I was so engaged with, I don't know, the technique. Like it kind of,
It's like a job.
it's definitely a job. It requires so much focus, but it also trains your focus, so it becomes easier to do. But um, I think it's like it turns the volume up on your thoughts, and that can be scary. And definitely there are moments during the retreat, or for some people that it can be scary and like not beneficial for, but for me, yeah, it just amplified my thoughts, but at the same time I felt way quieter. It's I mean like often in Zen Buddhism you see the like the example of the awakened mind is like a calm lake, right? But the like the mind is like a mirror, and when the lake is calm is when the mirror is sort of the most reflective, but the unawoken unawakened mind like mistakes the reflection of the moon for the actual moon. You know, Zen is like super,
Classic shit. Yeah.
it's just not easy to understand if you're trying to understand it logically, but I think that that metaphor of like viewing your mind as like a body of water that can either be extremely like sort of,
Still are up for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I heard about the retreat from Yuval, the author of Sapiens, Yuval Harari, and he gave some interview where he said that he's been a practitioner of this technique Vipassana for 20 something years, every day 2 hours,
Yeah,
and that
that's
was,
brolic, bro. He
it's so
like is
brolic.
so committed to it. Like, I mean, clearly it's been beneficial, like from what he
Hmm.
said and what he's done. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kept it up for like 8 months after, but it just went away,
Yeah.
and now I don't do it at all. It's kind of.
Yeah, I know. I definitely need to up my practice again.
Hmm.
But for the time, it's yeah, just I don't know. If you were to go again, would you like would you meditate leading up to it, or just go in and just say screw it? Like,
You know, the interesting thing is, um, I think like you know when people smoke weed for the first time or do anything for the first time, it carries like a disproportional amount of value, and I think, I mean, I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like I've gotten like the 80/20 out of it, and like subsequent practice would be like, because I can talk about what I learned like through it and how it continues to impact my life, but and like you, I know you feel the same things, but like I don't find myself longing as much to have that sort of experience anymore. Um,
I
Go
feel
ahead.
like I feel the same way, but I also feel like that could be a sign of like
To go
it
back.
would be helpful to go. Like I feel like because it wasn't really like yes, there were a lot of like learnings from it, but also just like the act of actually like doing it and like meditating that much was just
Hmm.
such a like I don't know. I think a valuable like way to
Yeah.
spend time. Um, yeah, I don't know, and it was great. Like yeah, I don't know. I remember people always saying like, "Oh, it's so crazy that you like go do one of these things," but to me, it was just like this seems like such an interesting thing to do. Not even as an experiment, just like okay,
Hmm.
like yes, meditation's good. Like the rocket fuel version of it, like probably would be pretty interesting experience.
Hmm.
And like yeah, I don't know. It's like probably one of the most interesting like sober experiences you can have.
Facts. I think, yeah. So heard about it from this author Yuval around like March of 2018. Put myself on the waiting list, and then forward to August, like I quit my job. I was pretty depressed and like not really moving forward. And then kind of like I think of it as one of the greatest graces of my life. Like I got an email, um, like inviting me, like, "Hey, you're off the wait list. Can you make it?" And it's like in 2 days. And I was like, "Shit, should I do this?" And
Yeah.
I was like kind of sweating it. Like I don't know if I should do this. Like I haven't prepared anything. Blah blah. And I asked my dad, and he's like, "Dude, you've been talking about this nonstop for like a couple days, weeks, whatever. Like
Yeah.
you should just go do it just to to see what it's all about." And that really just, my dad helped me make up my mind right then and there. And I was like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna do it.
Said it. Yeah.
And I was scared that you know maybe I'd lose my mind, but I have experience from you know psychedelics where I trust my ability to deal with like crazy mental stuff and surrender and like let the experience happen. And yeah, I
It's
just,
also a safe environment. I feel like
yeah.
they have like great guides and like I don't know. I feel like if anyone ever was not in a good place, I feel like they can handle it like
Hmm.
well. Um,
I think,
after leaving there, I don't know. But yeah,
yeah, I think defer to yourself. Like if you feel like you can handle it, just defer to yourself. Like if you feel like you can handle it, that's a better sign than anyone telling you you can or can't. Um, but yeah, like I just remember, I remember like throughout the, I mean, there are certain experiences that were very profound, but um, the major takeaway was like I remember being able to have like to be able to think and not lose my train of thought without exerting any effort, and like
You could like backtrack shit
I
mad
could
easily. Yeah,
backtrack like
that
exactly
was
what
crazy.
it was
Yeah,
crazy, right? Um, it's kind of like if you're like driving or walking on a really foggy day, and all of a sudden the fog lifts and you see like where you came from.
facts.
That's kind of what it was like, and yeah, I remember. I think I said it too. Like I feel capable of thinking in long sentences slowly without having to like exert effort. It was just like
Right.
effortless, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah. It's definitely an IQ booster for sure.
yeah,
Like
for sure.
I know we've talked about that.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel something similar?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, like I think I got a lot out of it in terms of like understanding of myself, the world, different things. But I think, yeah, I think I came out of there with like a deep focus. But for me, like it was, I think the biggest thing for me that I got from it was just like really understanding the physical way of processing emotion, like
Hmm.
how physical emotions are, and how like yeah, just a really like how to interpret emotions through the physical experience of emotions, and like that was like a huge game changer for me. And um yeah, I think just like deepen how I understand myself and how I interact with people. um yeah, I wonder what it would be like if we went on a 3 day retreat. Like I know, so this place like limits it so that like your first one has to be a 10 day, but then once you've done one, you can do like a 3 day retreat. I wonder,
Hmm.
what we'd get out of it. Like even just an experiment, we should just like send it one weekend and just wherever, like in Florida, somewhere near New York, like um yeah, whatever. I mean, it's a weekend, and like I'm
Hmm.
sure I can only imagine it would be, we'd get something out of it, or at least it would be interesting. Like we'd learn something from it. Like
Yeah, I'd be down. I definitely think I'm gonna do more in my future.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy I met was like, he's like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for like 30 years. This guy, I could have like, I don't even like, his house could have been burning down, and this man would have been sitting there with like a smile and just like enjoying the warmth of like
Hmm.
the fire. Like it was incredible to see, and he'd gone all over the world, done like 30-day retreats.
Hmm.
It was nuts.
Yeah, Yuval does 60-day retreats where like he's not talking to anyone for 60 days and just focusing.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
from
Like part of me wants to know what that feels like, but I don't know.
it's 2 months.
I think cold water is like meditation on steroids. Um I feel like one like 2 minute 2 to 3 minute session at like 33 degrees. I don't think that the temperature actually matters. It's like whatever is appropriate for you.
Cold. Yeah.
There is an approach. I think some people can do ice plunges and like not feel deeply meditative because they're maybe not they're building up tolerance just through exposure instead of like just trying to relax your body. And of course,
Mhm.
both are happening, but there's an approach you can take to it where you go in and you just like really focus on what you're feeling in your body. And like, in order to stay in there, you really have to relax because like Vipassana really is one of the facets of it is like you're relaxing your body to like such deep levels
Facts.
where it kind of feels like I mean, there's so many examples. Yeah, like the stilling of a body of water, or
Yeah.
like the clearing of the clouds, or there's a lot of examples. But I
I feel like
get,
it's when your mind and body and everything is just like in sync, and like there's
mhm,
no, yeah, it's just all operating as one, which
yeah,
we think is always the case, but once like it's experienced, it's like,
mhm.
oh, never mind. Like,
Yeah. I think I remember some meditation person wrote about this and said it like what's happening. One of the things that's happening in meditation, why it's so beneficial for some people, is because you're learning how to rest your nervous system. And I don't know if that's literally like a scientific description, but it feels like that. And it's like a kind of rest that like sleep doesn't give you. Like, yes, you can wake up feeling very refreshed from sleep and like every once in a while you'll have that like elite sleep where you wake up feeling so good, but it's different, right? Like that meditative rest feels different
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah. I wonder, like, I mean, the guy in one of the retreat like things, he's like, some guy didn't sleep all night and just like meditated for like whatever, like 6 hours and like felt like amazing. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I wonder what that would be like. I mean, it would be exhausting in some senses, but I'm sure once you like get over a certain bump, it would be like incredibly like,
Hmm.
I don't know, you'd feel really rested from it. Um, but yeah, it definitely is not the same as sleeping. Yeah,
Crazy shit. It's I think there's a lot of value. I don't know. I think it's so easy to go through, like, to just live and not realize what kinds of experiences we can achieve through different practices. And I think meditation is one of those, cold plunging is one of those. There's probably a bunch, like different drugs or
running
whatever. Yeah,
fat
like,
marathon or something. Yeah, yeah. I feel
mm,
like a Jocko like Hell Week, you probably tap into like the deepest level of just like being in tune with your body and like, yeah, I don't know, just a different mental state.
dude, for 7 days, sleeping only 2 hours and constant physical exertion. That
Yeah,
sounds
and
like
like, bro, they're literally like, talk about an ice plunge. Like,
they're in the
you're out in the
Pacific
open
Ocean.
and
Yeah.
the water is like what 40, like in the 40s, like
40s,
which
50s. Yeah.
obviously isn't as cold as like 30, but like
But it's also,
if you're doing it for like
yeah.
hours a day and like
Hmm.
after crazy workouts, like I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that I always think like if I had 10 lives, like, and I could like devote each different life to one, I do think, because I remember as a kid, I don't think I felt it. Like Jocko talks about when he was a kid, he like just wanted to be a commando. I don't know. I definitely didn't feel it as strong as him, or maybe in a different way. But I remember like watching like spy movies, and like that's what I want to be. Like
Sure, sure,
probably most kids feel that when they watch like James Bond or whatever. Like,
sure.
but it would be like the things that like special operations like soldiers know
Yeah, it's different.
is
Like
mind boggling. Like they know
it
how to
is.
fucking like just I don't even know because it's all under wraps. Like it has to
Sure,
be secret information, but
sure,
the few times that Jocko's talked about like the kind of stuff they trained or like
sure. And like they know how to get tortured and all this shit. Like shooting, physical things,
mhm,
torture, like tear gas. I'm sure they have to study like geopolitics and understand different.
mhm,
Like it's probably nuts. Um, on the spy topic, something I found really interesting. One of my friends' family like worked somewhere in the government and said that like apparently a lot of spies are like women and like one reason is just like they're on it's many people don't suspect them to be spies and then
mhm,
two there's like many things that are like normal for women to do that like would seem sus otherwise. So like if a bunch of girls like go into a bathroom together like to congregate and like exchange information, like that doesn't look weird really. But if like a bunch of guys do, it's like kind of can raise some eyebrows.
mhm.
I don't know how that translates across cultures, but that's what he said. And he said like the people that you see that are spies are not James Bond, like chiseled jaws. It's like these like women that are non attention grabbing,
Mhm.
according to him.
Yeah, Tim Kennedy said that same thing too. Like women are typically more effective in like extracting information and sort of staying under the radar because people are not threatened by in general, like people are not threatened by women.
Facts.
Yeah. It would
It's
just be
interesting.
like I just want to know what the truth is. Like in some like a conspiracy kind of way, like I want to know what happened to Epstein, even though we know what happened, but I want to
I
know
mean,
like
yeah,
what is under the hood that we're not finding out about. Like
sure. I'm sure
who
there's so many interesting.
oh my
Yeah.
god.
What
Like
I find is interesting is like how many major events we've avoided due to like intelligence or something like
yeah.
that. Like there's probably like yeah, it's probably
Hmm.
mine like very scary how many things they've
Yeah.
like stopped.
And also on that note, like Andrew Schultz on Flagrant 2 the other day said like without war, and I think like that just generalizes to without some sort of conflict, there can't be heroes.
Sure.
And Nassim Taleb in the beginning of the Black Swan, like I believe the intro, he talks about how there needs to be some day, and I think he's kind of being not sarcastic, but like a little tongue in cheek, but like there needs to be some day where we celebrate the heroes who are unsung because of the things they prevented, right? Like
Sure.
if you compare, like, let's say the day before 9/11, intelligence was able to apprehend whatever, they were able to stop it, prevent it from happening. The person who prevented it, no one would ever know his name.
Sure.
But after it happens, you know,
Guy with Osama, like
yeah,
national
whoever killed
hero.
Osama or whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think like I totally agree, and I think we spoke about, remember that bug with Coinbase where like this guy found this like basically like infinite money hack and
Mm,
like reported to Coinbase, and like he gets $250,000, right? But like if someone were to exploit that, or he were to exploit that, that's like easily like hundreds of millions of dollars, if not
yeah,
more. And like, yeah, I don't know. It's what is it, like an ounce of prevention is worth like a pound of cure or whatever.
yeah.
Like, yeah, like yeah, we price it the opposite way around.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
it's a fact. That's a
Do,
pretty cool. I really like that idea. Like, there's a company that specializes in that. It's like Hacker something, or it's like Hacker One or something like that, where yeah, companies have like big bug bounties on their site. Like, okay, if you find like this level bug, this level bug, this level bug, like it ranges from like a few $1,000s all the way up to, like millions of dollars.
mhm.
I think that's such a smart concept, and it's like, I don't know, it's counterintuitive to put one of those in place
Facts.
to some people.
Yeah, dude, man, I really want to learn secrets. Like, I just remember as a kid thinking about, like, when I read, like, Dan Brown's, but have you read any, like, Angels and Demons or Da Vinci Code or anything?
No, but I know, like,
Yeah, so, like, the whole secret society thing, like, what actually exists, what, like, what do the leaders of the world know that we just don't know? Like, aliens. Have we contacted with aliens? Like, who's really running the shots? Like,
sure,
who was Epstein sort of, who's everyone that Epstein sort of like serviced, or I don't know how the right word
sure,
is, like that we just don't know about. I mean, everyone thinks the Clintons whacked him, but
who knows?
yeah, you remember
I
that shit
think,
a couple of years ago, Pizzagate?
yeah, that was like,
That was
so
so
yeah,
Ed.
wow.
All right, what were we about to say?
I was gonna say, you know how like that quote where it's like the future's here, it's just not like evenly distributed. Like
Mm-hmm.
the truth is here, it's just not evenly distributed. Like,
Facts.
yeah, it's gotta try to balance that
That's the
shit.
name of the podcast.
Yeah,
The truth is here. It's not evenly distributed.
facts.
Fire.
Put that shit on a billboard.
Yeah.
um, facts. What else? What else has been good? What's been new on in the world of Tamor? The
Dude,
things you're curious about,
just
learning about?
this fucking war, man. I'm
Literally.
like glued to Twitter every single night
Yeah.
following Naval's list. Anyone curious who's listening, Naval Ravikant at Naval Naval on Twitter put together a list that's just called War, which he sort of hand selected a bunch of different Twitter accounts that he thinks are like reliable and informative accounts with regards to like reporting on the war. And I'm getting fatigue like keeping up with everything because there's just too much information.
If I don't refresh in like a few hours, I'm like, yo, you can miss like a massive piece of news, even
Facts.
though it's like not that. Yeah, I don't know.
There's this great video though on YouTube. You might have seen it already. It was going around Twitter. It's this channel called Real Life Lore.
Okay,
And have you heard of this? So the video is called like
maybe
why Russia is like invading Ukraine,
invading.
but it's like a 30-minute video where this guy, who's like amazing YouTube channel where he just, I mean, it is what it's a real life lore where he's talking about like sort of the history and sort of developments of different things. Like the video before the Russia one was like why the next
It's like a
decade.
Dan Carlin type of
Not
situation, or
really.
like,
It's animated. It's like a comprehensive like history lesson, but it's
gotcha.
short. Like I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, he sort of talks about the relevant historical factors that led up to this war. One of them being NATO, one of them being sort of a lot of natural gas was discovered in Ukraine in the last
Mhm.
decade, and Russia's very interested in that. Talking because Russia is like their
Yeah, that's their
main
whole.
for. I think it's like
Did you?
50% of this economy is just
Yeah, oil and gas.
oil and
Did you see that
gas.
thing? Yuval had a tweet
Yuval,
today. He's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, he's like, it's Russia's a gas station with a nuke. Like,
yeah.
but
Um, yeah, it was really interesting to because I think did you read the 21 Lessons of the 21st Century? The very first line in the book is like in the modern day, clarity is power. That's not a direct quote, but something like that. Like basically, we get inundated with information, and one of the powers is being able to like
to
distill and
sort it.
sift through information. And I found that video was super helpful in sort of understanding what Putin's motivations could have been.
Sure. I thought also that was it Catherine Hall or whatever her name is, like that article that we both remember. I was like, oh, I thought I sent this
Fiona
to you.
Hill, Fiona Hill.
Yeah, Fiona Hill. That was like such a good piece where she's just like dropping facts and like clearly like knows all the ripples behind like how he got to this like wave.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but I want to check out that series on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll
YouTube
send you the
has
video.
the production quality on some YouTube channels is unbelievable. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's equal or better than many TV shows.
OD. Yeah,
Like
this channel has like 5 million subscribers, and
yeah,
that's a lot for a YouTube channel. And
yeah.
the production quality on his videos are just wild. Like it's like an
So
interactive like history lesson. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. Since doing that class, I've now I'm on like the editing part of like this first video. But my appreciation of like making videos is on like another level now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Casey basically says he's like when you record your film, that's like your ingredients for your meal, but like when you're editing is like when you're like
Cooking.
being a cook and like yeah, and like it's 100% a fact. Now I'll like watch videos and I'll be like, yo, this editing is like off the fucking charts.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're just getting exposed to it. Imagine like
yeah, like I'm
Casey's appreciation of that.
yeah, yeah, and it's like nuts. And it's like obviously you want good ingredients and like, but like have you ever seen those videos where they take like a pro chef and like an amateur, and that like the pro chef gets like a $10 worth of ingredients, and the amateur gets like $500 worth of ingredients, like,
Mm-hmm.
and they make roughly like the same meal. It's like the same thing where like, yeah, editing is the movie almost. Like,
So yeah, let's talk about that class. Like, what has the experience been like so far? You've had two. Is it every day? Is it a couple times a week?
there's like it's just like project based. So there's like videos that you watch, and then it's like you do a project off of like the lessons. So like you have a few days to like record uh, scenes, then you have like a few days to edit like the first third of the video. So like
Mm-hmm.
tonight I have to like finish up like my first version of this, and it's like not great, but it's like cool to like you can see the like seeds of something good there. And obviously it just like seems like I just need to do a lot of reps.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's been really interesting. The community is if the wildest thing is this whole class, right? It's $250, but it's really the community and like the action around it that is like so important, and like what
Mm-hmm.
where the value provides. Like Casey spent literally like probably recording this whole class like 3 hours, like just an afternoon recording it, and now it's something he probably makes like a few $1,000s a day off of easily.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all in the work and the community. Like people give tips and everything, but like, could you imagine like give me a book that like you found impactful? Like
Skin in the game.
yeah, like can you imagine Skin in the Game, but like where every chapter you had to like do an assignment, like either like a paper or like a like go out in the world and do something with each like chapter's information,
Mm-hmm.
and then like have a community where you like talk about it. Like it just takes things to like a whole new level. Like
Well, that's kind of what boot camp was like, right? I mean, I'm sure
yeah,
different, but the same. Like
yeah, yeah,
3 week modules where 2 weeks you learn something new, and then the last week you build a project either
yeah.
with a group or individually. Um, yeah, I mean, I think like we both feel the same way that like formal education, at least in our experiences, was kind of disappointing when we got exposed to the process, like in boot camp, for example, because like knowledge needs to be applied to something, I think applying it to something at least enforces the learning way more than like reading it and taking a test on it. Like,
Sure.
because boot
Yeah, I
camp,
think.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think like about like Elon's school that he like started for his kids,
Hmm.
and I think it's like the smart way. Like there's a problem to solve, and you like learn how to fix it, and along the way you learn how to solve those things. You need math, you
Hmm.
need coding, you need all these things, and I think like in regular school, we put the cart before the horse. We're like, oh, here are all these tools that you learn.
Yeah.
Probably forget most of them, and like you have no clue how to apply them. Like,
Yeah. I felt that way like in language. Like when I took French in high school, it was like learning grammar and shit. But like
yeah,
you think about learning English, like I knew how to communicate, even if it wasn't like I'm talking about as a kid, like you learn how to communicate, if not well, but like well enough to get what you're feeling across at some like
sure,
minimum sort of like effectiveness level. And then like as you grow older you enrich your base, right? And
sure,
like I remember being in French class, like, and then when I went to France after being I went to France in junior year of high school, so I'd been in French for 2 years, and not knowing like just basic, like I had to like
sure, yeah,
study basic stuff. But I feel like, I don't know, a language class should be like first level. When you go to the country, if you're in the country and you had no one to translate, can you survive? Like
get
that
around
should be
exactly.
like the first level. Two
Yeah,
should be like, can you date? I think like
sure,
like can you meet a girl or a guy or whatever you're into and like connect with them if they speak no English or whatever your
sure.
base language is. And then
No, I
after
agree. Like,
that, start thinking about like grammar and like fucking saying things properly. Like it's,
yeah,
yeah, it's weird.
I think like yeah, like practical things with like rewards at the end,
Yeah.
or like consequences of getting it wrong and rewards for getting it right. Like, I think it's just like right up. It's tailored towards how humans learn, and like
Hmm.
yeah, I think I don't know. I think our education system like fails us on that front. And learning's so fun and interesting, and like kids love to learn, but like
Hmm.
we like take all the fun out of it, take all like the benefit out of it, and just like plop books in front of people, and yeah,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that there's this bias. It's, I mean, for sure in academia that there's, it's been defined, but not really justified what the right way to learn something is. And I remember in French class, because I asked my teacher, who was a great teacher, but she was sort of this school of thought, like learn how to read and write first and then learn how to speak. And I think, like, even if I say that, like, I learned how to speak before I learned how to read or write, there's kind of, it sounds like, oh, so you were illiterate, but I was communicating,
sure,
like, why? I think, like, that incentive structure needs to be there. Why do I care about reading or writing? Right? It's because I
right,
want to, like, convey my ideas, but
sure,
or whatever. I don't know. There are probably a lot of reasons, or create or something like that. But I'm not connected to the sort of audience that I want to create for in that language if I can't communicate with them sort of just interpersonally,
wait,
just
yeah,
talking to them.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean Nassim talks about that in Office books. Like most of the math you learn in school is not like useful, although there is a place. Actually, I should retract that because I actually don't think that's his view. Math may not be the best thing, but like I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff you learn in school, like that doesn't actually. I think economics, right? Like even Ray talked about this in the first principles. Like after the first, after not the first, after the 2008 crash, like policymakers started going to a lot of like finance people, like hedge fund guys, because
sure.
their understanding was based on
Practitioners,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I 1,000% agree. Um, I wonder who is going to be like. I wonder if it's going to be like a grassroots thing, like a few people are like change the way that people learn, or it's going to be this like one Elon-esque, if not Elon himself, like character that's like, okay, we need to really overhaul how we learn. Who knows? Like, it could come down to like, there's this East and West divide, and like, we need better talent, and like, someone's degree or what they know like becomes like pretty irrelevant. And I think you see it right, like we see it in like tech right now. Like it's all based on skill and not credentials on paper, really.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully that day comes sooner rather than later. Hopefully our kids can take advantage of it.
Yeah,
But
when are we gonna
that's
get Elon
optimism,
Musk Day?
literally.
We need an Elon Musk Day.
Facts. I think,
Goat.
bro, with Ukraine too, the man just like literally does more than like many governments. Like
Mm-hmm.
brings in a communication network that can't be taken down,
Facts.
nodes to get connected. I'm sure he's like donated money and whatever. Like I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
Dude, I want to like be friends with him. I know a lot of people hate
Facts.
on him. I don't
Yeah.
really get it. I mean, I guess he's a troll on Twitter. Some people think he's manipulating markets with his tweets. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's true, but it might be true.
I also think it's like irrelevant. Like I feel like not irrelevant. I just feel like he's done so many impactful things. Like even if he
Mm-hmm.
stopped today, like I don't know, all the things that people like complain about that he's done, like are so secondary to like the major like benefits he's brought in.
Right.
Yeah,
Like all, if not all, most car companies now are like have fully like developed electric vehicles. Wouldn't have happened as soon as it happened or as quickly as it happened if it wasn't for Tesla. Like the space race seems to be alive again because of
sure.
SpaceX. Like because SpaceX happened, and then Bezos started
Blue
his thing,
Origin,
and then uh, who's that other guy?
Larry,
Branson.
Larry
Branson.
Barrett, yeah.
Branson is doing Virgin Galactic. Like
There's apparently like a bunch of other big space companies. Like there was some company I was reading about that's like the second largest private space company,
you sent it
and they
to me,
like
right?
3D. I think yeah, they like 3D print rockets,
Yeah.
like like on the low, and they're
Yeah.
like raised billions of dollars. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's just like this whole resurgence in like the importance of space, and I think we're
Yeah.
seeing that. Like I think Ukraine is literally like just highlighting how important it is. Like there is now a network that really, by and large, can't be taken down. I don't know,
Yeah.
huge asset for the U.S. and I'm sure that's going to be a priority of other countries.
Facts.
Yeah,
Elon's a goat. I don't know. I know
facts.
people that don't like him, and whenever we're like in a room, I never. You just can't
Sure,
disagree. But
sure.
he's the goat. I don't. Who's a great like?
Would you want to meet him? That like I feel
Yes.
like I would, but
Yes.
I also it's
Yes.
like like the don't meet your heroes.
No,
Like,
everyone who meets him
but I feel
says
like you'd
that
be
he's
dope.
so
Yeah,
like. I just think being around him would make me like just so much smarter. Like, bro, every
facts.
time he comes out with a new podcast, like I
Yeah, I
just
know. It's
feel
just like
400 times smarter by his constant ability to just break things down and
yeah.
analyze and explain. Like, he's a
Who else?
goat.
I think Balaji is one of those. Like
Yeah.
also similar. Like listen to him and just like
Hmm.
feel on a different planet. Like who else?
Nassim, for me, Nassim, when I read his
Nassim has
books,
stuff. Yeah,
his Twitter annoys me. Well, no, it doesn't annoy me. But he is like kind of cantankerous online and in his books too. But when I read his books, I'm like, this guy knows, he
his
knows
shit.
how
Yeah,
things work. Like,
facts.
um, Tim, like, I think Tim has calmed down in recent years. Like, the way he talks, he's more into like being calm and kind and stuff. But
Sure, sure.
if you listen to old
Used to
Tim
get you
Ferriss
fired up.
stuff, oh my God, dude, old Tim Ferriss stuff, like, his ability to just think, like
Facts.
communicate and break down problems is so elite.
Facts.
You probably feel that way about Josh Waitskin.
Yeah, Josh. I think like Charlie Munger
Oh my god.
and like Buffett. If you hear them like just go on for a minute, like mad interesting and like I don't know. You can definitely tell they're tapped into a different. They're tapped into reality in a different way than
Hmm.
most people are.
I feel also Adam Robinson, huge
Yeah,
hero.
yeah,
He's
elite.
so
We
elite.
got to chat about them one
We're gonna get him on the podcast one day. Adam, we're gonna get you on the podcast one day.
day.
I DM with him sometimes, and he'll respond every once
Facts,
in a while. He follows me
facts,
on Instagram and Twitter.
facts.
Um, he's the
He's like
goat.
one of the underrated Johns.
He's like in the shadows. Like I think he's
Yeah,
doing a lot that we don't know about, like working with all of
facts.
these investors and shit.
Yeah,
But his Twitter is a gold mine. Like
yeah.
it's an elite Twitter.
Um,
Matter of fact,
there's a joke post that was like follow accounts based on one tweet, unfollow accounts based on one tweet. Pretty fire. I don't know if I fully agree. I've definitely followed on one tweet, but yeah, I don't know. How would you feel about that? Like,
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Like when you see a tweet that really blows your mind. I'm not into this thread shit. Like, yes,
bro,
it's
the
kind of
threads are
cool.
so
It's
annoying.
blog. The whole point of Twitter is like learn how to say it like
Sure,
concisely. But who am I to say what the actual point of Twitter is? But
sure. I think
um,
people show they like it, and obviously, like good threads are elite, but like there's
yeah.
so like the amount of bad threads is horrible.
So I'm looking at Twitter right now to see if like just Adam Robinson's Twitter because one of his tweets could be like a whole podcast episode, like talking
Sure.
about it. Um, he says like right here. I mean, this is kind of sort of cliche, but you know what everyone calls visionaries just before they achieve success?
Yeah.
Deluded.
Yeah.
Um, probably can talk about that. But yeah, Adam Robinson's elite. We'll get him on the podcast.
Fox. Um, he's a New York dog. Like that'd be sick to just. I mean, I'm
He
sure
doesn't live there
he
anymore,
would.
but yeah,
Oh, really? That'd been fire to just.
chill with him.
Yeah, chill with him. Grab. I don't know. Grab a dinner.
We'll become friends with him.
Fox. That. Well, I don't know. How long we've been on this for? About an hour. Should we?
41 minutes. Let's make it to an hour.
Yeah,
What has been new with you this past week? What are things you've learned, experienced, thought about?
mm,
So while you're thinking, I'll share something just to not have dead time on the air. I have been taking the CBD, and I don't know what's in this shit, but I got high as fuck the other night on off this CBD, and I
it's the
don't
most
think
like meme comment ever.
facts.
Literally.
And I remember I was texting you like essays because I was
Yeah.
having so
Yeah.
many high thoughts. But one thing I think is like that I thought about is like I think Munger has that thing about you're kind of the inception of the mental model like concept that you should learn so much and so broadly that your brain and your mind, the way you see the world, is um, like a very dense, like chain link sort of lattice work.
Tree. Yeah.
And I remember being in bed off this CBD, just thinking like, the more you learn, the more you are able
Easier
to.
gets.
Yes, I agree with that. But the more you're able to recognize like both the range and the limits of like knowledge.
Facts.
And I think like there are these phase shifts that people can experience when they learn a lot about something. I mean, what do all old people say? Like when you're young, you don't know shit, right? Like, oh, when I was in my youth, I didn't know anything, but I thought I knew everything, right? Like, what is that? I think it's like thinking
But I
that
think even when you're old, like no one knows shit. Like
facts.
even the wisest people are like, yeah, I don't know shit.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm saying. But the younger people never think I don't know shit, right?
Sure.
Like, like like I think when we're younger, or it might not even be with like age necessarily, but just exposure. You think what you see is all there is, or you think what you think is what's knowable, and then you start exposing yourself to like I don't know. I think
Anything.
scientists understand this really well. Like the whole like history of science is like what are
What's true.
things that we can't know just by looking and experiencing them, and we have to develop like a process of experimenting to see what the actual truth is. I think it's very important to bring that sort of thinking like out of the specific like domain dependence of science and like
Sure. Every
into
day.
life. Yeah.
I think like if people take a step back and realize like if you say like Tim, like, oh, I know something, like that's a pretty profound statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know that for a fact when this happens, this will happen, or like this is the case of how the story behind this, and like if you like how many like laws of like physics are there, right? There's like a handful of like laws that we have for physics, and like can you say that like what I know is a law, right? And
Yeah.
almost everyone, if they like, the answer is, even if you're 100% sure, the
Hmm.
answer is probably no.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, knowing is like a rare thing,
Hmm.
or it should be.
It is, and I also think the framework of science, I believe, is better. There's just like annoying philosophers who will be like, "What does it mean to know something?" The only ones you should listen to are the philosophers of science, like Karl Popper, who like laid out like a rigorous framework of like what it means to know something, or like how you can approach knowledge. Is like fault, like is the postulate like falsifiable? Like, is it
Sure.
possible of being proven wrong?
Right.
Like, if it's not possible of being proven wrong, it's not in the domain
We
of
can't say
knowledge.
exactly.
Yeah. Or it's not in the domain of like we can know.
Right. No, it's a
Elite.
fact. Something before about what we were talking about. The I wonder a good rate or a good way to like understand a learning rate, or like an interesting metric for a learning rate, would be like years to feel like a dumbass, right? Like you probably feel like a week ago, you don't, you wouldn't be like, oh, I was a dumbass a week ago. But like when you were 15, you'd be like, oh yeah, I was definitely a dumbass.
Mm.
Like, but somewhere in that gauge, like probably like a few years ago, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I was a dumbass like 3 years ago. But like if you, at what, like, that's a good gauge, because if you're like, oh, 10 years ago I wasn't a dumbass, like you probably aren't learning enough, or like
You
you
either might
probably,
still be a dumbass or just be
yeah.
a fucking master at something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably the former. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting, could be an interesting way to gauge learning. Yeah.
Do you have any of those recently? Like, let's say in the last 1 to 3 years
I
that
think
jump to
like
mind?
I think with so many things like communication, like um, anything related to like tech, like coding, tech, anything,
Hmm.
creating things, like having relationships. Yeah, like all these things are just like, I would consider myself like a complete dumbass. Like
Hmm.
definitely in the few year time range, and like yeah, even with the last year has been so huge. Even the last, I don't know, I feel like a few months since like starting a blog, starting a podcast, like I feel like completely, like, I don't know,
Hmm.
paradigm shift. I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah. The one that comes to mind is fashion. My girlfriend, like when we met, I don't know, April, May last year, we like connected and
Yo,
it's been a
year
minute,
coming up.
a year coming up,
Wow.
yeah. And when we started becoming more comfortable with each other, she's like, "Look, I like you. You dress like you have no idea about style. Like you have no way. Like you have no understanding of fashion." I was like, "Fuck," and she really does. Like she has like a really good sense of aesthetics and like style and stuff like that. And when she was in New York, she was like in fashion circles and shit. So I can look back to where I was a year ago and be like, "Wow, I was so dumb. Like I didn't know anything." And like some part of not knowing something is like not caring about it, and like I don't think I appreciated like how
Important it is.
important or like what the fundamentals are, like that there are fundamentals that are like kind of laid out, like. And then like I don't know, my music teacher in high school said like before before you break any rules, like you have to know the
Very good.
rules.
Nothing. Yeah.
Like he said there's like three levels of an artist. I think I'm remembering this correctly. Number one, you don't know the rules and you're just like doing your thing, right? Like level number two is you know the rules and you're like functioning within the rules. Like level number three, you know the rules and then you're breaking them knowing what they are, like
Right.
when and why to break them.
Fact. I feel like some
Facts.
people are in tier one and accidentally like are labeled as
Tier three.
tier three. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's elite.
It is elite.
I'm trying to think. Have you watched anything notable? Videos, movies, shows? I know you're
So
big. Euphoria is your bread and butter, right?
so I didn't love season two of Euphoria. But yeah, that finished last weekend. I won't ruin anything, but I thought it wasn't as gripping as season one. Season one would like fuck me up. Like I'd watch an episode and just like I needed to like
Be
just
bodied. Yeah.
just be grateful for my life because it wasn't that fucked up. Season two
Did you see
didn't hit
that
me like
tweet, bro?
that.
That was
What?
hilarious. It was like when in Euphoria did they study for the SAT. Like,
Facts. Yeah. When did they ever like have
not
any
funny.
schoolwork?
Literally,
Like talking about going to MIT or whatever.
literally.
Um,
But season 2,
season 2 was. I mean, there were some good episodes in the middle, but I thought it wasn't as gripping overall. My girlfriend and I started a show called Counterpart, which is pretty interesting. Only like 2 or 3 episodes in right now, but I like it. Um, we rewatched the well for me it was a rewatch, for her it was the first time, this South Korean movie called The Handmaiden. Have you heard of it?
I feel like I have heard of that. Was that the one that was the what's it called guy?
Boot Camp.
No.
Oh, the Parasite
Give me
guy. Nah, it's not him. um I'd say like similar tier movie, not at all in subject matter, like it doesn't feel the same, but in terms of like how excellent it is.
I don't know how if it was in the same tier, or in the same category, I'd be shook.
Yeah, definitely different
But
genre, but amazing movie. I would definitely add it to your list, The Handmaiden. It's on Amazon Prime.
fuck.
What else? Started the Dresden Files.
Yeah,
Kind of corny, but it's an easy read, and I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm like maybe
yeah,
4 chapters in right now. Yeah, that's all that's coming to mind. Oh, I watched the Foo Fighters movie last night.
fuck.
Atrocious. It was so bad, but it was meant to be bad, so it's okay. But like, so bad.
Yeah, it sucks. It's disappointing. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm hyped for. I know you didn't like it that much, but the new Formula One show is coming out. I'm like so hyped. That's like probably like the one TV show I'll watch. I just like I don't know why it's so like gripping for me.
Hmm.
Uh,
I didn't
I don't know.
dislike
It's
it.
interesting. Yeah, no, I know, but like you weren't like head over heels for it.
No,
Like
I wasn't.
I feel
Yeah.
like it'd be so interesting to see what problems like the engineering team is facing. Like it's probably so interesting because all those cars are just like so custom made and like
Hmm.
I mean the whole season they're just like tweaking them and they break and how do you fix it? I don't know. I
Hmm.
just feel like it's probably a really interesting job, even though I'm sure it's like incredibly competitive because it's I don't know people are so passionate about it.
Dude, what if like Elon came in and designed like an electric Formula One car? If
They
it's
have Formula
possible,
E.
it's
They
electric.
have Formula E. It's like a whole different like series or like whatever, like whole different like league or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
But I think all modern Formula One cars are like some sort of hybrid uh, car. But yeah, there is Formula E. I actually went. There was one in Red Hook that I went to. It was like on the water. It was cool, but I didn't appreciate it at the time.
Mm.
But I'm sure if Elon came in, even with like a regular car, he'd probably like
Destroy.
would finesse. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Like
should
who?
do it. Say screw it. Like
I think he has big. Yo,
not worth his time. Yeah.
what is he like? Where's he going to be when he's in his 70s, like 80s?
Hopefully
Like,
alive.
I hope alive. Yeah, I think when Elon Musk dies, that's a sad day for humanity because there's no one
Yeah.
like him. There's no one like him.
Yeah. I mean, he's already like, set things in motion. Like,
Hmm.
like if he died today, like his work is like so far reaching and like
Hmm.
even within his own companies, but in like he's like you said, like just in the broader sphere, it's just been like so impactful. But yeah, that'll be a tragic day.
Very tragic indeed. He's the type to figure out how to live forever, though.
Literally.
Yo,
I hope he doesn't die from some crazy shit. Like I don't know, like his private jet crashes or some like Kobe shit. I don't know.
yeah, or assassination. His
Yeah.
security detail must be like off the charts.
Bro, there was a Twitter account that was like following where his jet would go, and she tried to pay them like 10K to like take the countdown, and then the guy was like, "Nah, screw it," and like it's just like a huge security, I don't know, hole in his system. But apparently, I think he like switches planes, or I don't know, he has some way around it now.
Yeah, I mean that must be so
Facts.
annoying to deal with if you're like. I mean, first of all, that's a huge intrusion of privacy. Like,
Stalking, yeah.
yeah, you're basically stalking someone, and people were like applauding the dude, like, "Oh my god, you're a hero!"
Bro,
Like,
he had like 100,000 followers. Like,
yeah, it's fucked. Like,
some crazy shit.
yeah, okay, you're a good engineer, like you know how to do that, a good hacker, but like that's like Elon Musk is such a valuable human that like to disclose
Well,
his location is such a like just like it's such a threat. Like there are definitely people. He probably
yeah.
gets so many death threats. Like
I'm sure at like I wonder at what level like the death threats start becoming like regular. like, and I'm sure it's specific, right? Like to industry, or like if you're
Mm-hmm.
like a singer versus like, the CEO, but like I'm sure once you hit a certain level, it's probably nuts.
Mm-hmm. Tim talks about it in some podcast episode. Like,
He's like strapped, right? His
oh
like
my
house, he
god,
says he has like
yeah,
guns all over.
mad guns, knives, elite security system. Like, yeah,
So
Tim has said like,
this
I
book I
dare you to
read,
break into my house. Like, I dare you. See what
yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah. This book I was reading, it's like this, like the guy that founded Maxim, and he's like, I don't know, had a bunch of publishing companies, and he was like, if when you get rich, like, or like you're successful, like, don't even think about the weirdness of security. Like, get high quality security and don't think about it. Like, it'll feel weird, but like you will, it is a non-negotiable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like such an interesting, I don't know, definitely a more money, more problems type of thing.
Facts. Yeah.
But
So, what have you
um,
consumed or sort of experienced this week that's been of note?
um, I think, I don't know. I really like that article about Ukraine. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I have one thing I want to talk about, but I don't. I'll save it for another episode.
Mm-hmm. You want to tease us?
And no, I'll save it.
All right, bet.
I would rather talk about it another time. But
Do I know about it?
yeah,
Okay.
it's not really a big thing. It's
All
just
right, bet.
yeah.
Facts.
I don't know. I'm blanking. So
Yo, my boy, he texted me the other day, Joe. He's like, "Yo, what's your shoe size?" I'm like, "I don't know, 10, 11, depending on what like make." He's
who?
like, "Joe, you haven't met him. He lives in Williamsburg." Um, and he's like, "Yo, I just bought a bunch of new skiing gear. Do you want my old stuff?" And I'm like, "Facts." So he gave me skis, boots,
Fine.
poles, like for free.
Fine.
And high quality stuff. So good to have. We should visit Jay. Yo, how do people travel
And
with
I want to try
skis?
snowboarding.
Really?
You like pack them? They have like a travel case. I'm sure you get on like Amazon or
Word.
something.
And then like just
It's
check
like
them.
golf clubs. Yeah. You wear them on through security. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to try snowboarding. I'm like horrible at skiing, but I think I'd be a little bit better at snowboarding.
Really?
But yeah. I feel like I know how to board and like can surf. So like, or I shouldn't even say that. I can amateurly surf. So
we should plan some trips this summer, or just come. I mean, you're coming to that.
down.
Yo, are you coming to Miami soon?
I think so. There's a very good chance I come to Florida in the next few weeks, but
Yo,
it's
let's
not
do
going
a
to be
Key
Miami.
West trip. But let's come down for a Key West trip. Bro,
Fine.
Key West
I'll
is
see what
mad fun with
schedules.
friends.
I know. And you let me know about that other thing too.
Yeah,
But
I'll let you know.
that's on the back burner.
Facts.
And yeah, who knows? But who knows what the next few
Bro, Balaji
weeks,
tweeted.
let alone months.
Balaji
What'd he say?
tweeted like he thinks that it's a good idea to consider leaving major American cities.
I know major cities. I know.
Like leaving
I mean,
New
we
York,
literally
Miami,
are
California.
in World War. Yeah, we literally are in World War III right now. Like everyone that like is, and it makes sense. Like is like it's not. Oh, when we enter World War III, it's like we are fully in World War III, and like I don't know, the fact that China's been quiet and like there's many countries that have like sided with Russia. It's like I mean, there's clearly a big divide. So.
What do we start off the podcast with saying? Putin's what? What was the first thing that we said?
I forget.
All right, well, we'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, we'll run it.
And I forget what the podcast name is that we said.
It was the truth. The truth is here.
But it's unevenly distributed. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Facts. Well, right. Should we do a little 1-2 quick questions and then we'll wrap things up?
Yeah. Let's see.
What do you think is the most underrated food that Yeah. What do you think's the most underrated food that you really like fuck with, but
California
like no one?
burritos. California burritos are
Facts.
like easy because like people think it's
Facts.
gonna be gross because there's French fries in it. Like you're out of your mind. California burritos
Facts.
are the best top three foods in my life. Like
Yeah,
shout
I'd
out to
agree with that.
shout out to Lucha Lucha. Tragedy that they
Oh no,
closed. Best burrito I've ever
free
had in my
lucha.
life. Free Lucha.
Yeah.
Ooh, that might be the
Facts.
podcast episode. Free Lucha.
Yeah.
All right, what's your answer to that question?
Facts. Mine would be that there is like some high quality frozen pizza. Like I feel like frozen pizza as a
Oh,
whole pretty
facts.
trash, but like DiGiorno's or like
Oh.
Elliot, there's some pizza that just like slaps.
Dude,
But it doesn't get
DiGiorno's.
the respect it needs.
Oh,
Yeah,
facts. Throw some respect on
okay,
DiGiorno's.
literally.
Yeah, we got a lot of
That's a
podcast title
podcast.
names.
Literally.
That might be the one. Throw some respect on DiGiorno's.
Facts.
Facts. All right.
But, well,
What
episode 3. Oh, you're gonna do another?
what is one
Alright.
song that's been on repeat for you recently?
I've really liked this song. Let me pull it up. I've been listening to a lot of like French music lately, but the top song I've been listening to is, I think I sent it to you as well. Okay, it's called "Live Well" by Palace.
Yeah. Fire.
I like that. I've never listened to it, and the last like week it's been my knock. So,
Mm-hmm.
What
Mine
about
has
you?
been Selfless by the Strokes. Overall, I don't know why.
I mean, you've been on a kick.
Since Outside Lands, I have not been able to stop listening to the Strokes, and I have fallen so in love with their 2020 album, The New Abnormal. I'm listening
Yeah,
it. I'm
the Basquiat
almost
one.
yeah, I'm almost listening it to it cover to cover every day for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Selfless
Facts.
is currently my favorite song on the album. Yeah, we got all right. We're gonna launch the Blubhaus podcast. The Blubhaus playlist.
Facts.
It's over.
Facts. But well, that was a fun chat as always.
Yeah.
And we have officially, informally, we have a website, blubhaus.com. So check it out there, and you can have access to all of our stuff, and we'll put our playlist up there as well.
Facts. We're gonna start the Blubhaus playlist. All right, yo.
Facts.
Episode
Cool.
3, success in the books. We got a surprise for y'all next week. It's a surprise for us too because I have no idea. But yeah, let's call it.
Yeah.
Peace.
Much love. Peace.